All right, guys. Sorry to keep you guys on hold. I didn't realize that this whole thing, I do it through StreamYard and it scheduled the live. And I didn't realize that I ever really scheduled the live. So here I am. Here I am. Underdressed, duffel, fig. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. I labeled this story time, I believe, with Joel. It's also going to be Q&A on you guys can ask me anything, but I don't want to talk about loose leash walking and recall and how to get your dog. I've done a whole live. My last live was on aggression. My live before that was on my new dog. If you have questions about loose leash walking, recall, aggression, there's a zillion videos out there. I just looked the other day. I have like 700 videos on YouTube. I was like, that's an insane amount of videos. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell some stories. I was at a wedding over the weekend or last week, and guy asked me what's the connection like with a killer whale? Some question like that. And I told him a story that I'm going to tell you. Then I'm going to tell you some client stories of some crazy things that have happened in clients' homes. But so first, the killer whale story that I told this guy, and I'm going to tell you guys because he seemed to think it was interesting, was the connection with the whale and what it's like. And when I first got to SeaWorld or Orlando, I was working with the whales there. I was doing a behavior where you're foot pushing on the whale. So your feet are on the whale's nose and you go down to the bottom of the pool that is 36 feet deep, exactly 36 feet. They push you down to the bottom and then you come up and you do something out of the water. Well, I'm going down to the bottom trying to hit a music cue. So you have to go down at a certain time because the music just keeps running, right? And then you got to hit at the right moment, come out of the water right on the music cue. I'm going down. My feet slip off of the whale's nose. Like I've never had it happen before, probably never had it happen since. My feet slip off of the whale's nose. And I'm like, right when it slips off, I'm like, okay, I just ruined the show. I'm going to now, I guess, bubble up and say, here I am. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm 36 feet under the water. My feet slip off the nose and I end up on the whale's back. And I'm like, I end up on her back and I go, okay, what do I do now? I'm 36 feet underwater. I climb all over the whale. I put my feet, I kind of push and she just stays there and just lets me do everything. She puts the brakes on. She lets me climb all over her body. And then I put my feet back on her nose. And then we come up and we're like 5 seconds late for the music cue. And I remember at the time thinking how amazing that was. She doesn't just like get mad at me or go beyond me. She just stops, waits for me, and then finishes the move. And that is a good example of the relationship between the whales and the trainers at SeaWorld. And you can dislike SeaWorld, you can dislike animals in captivity. That's a whole nother conversation. But I just thought that was kind of an interesting story. The other story I'm going to tell is the time that a client hit on me in the house. So I'm at a client's house, and I've been in so many clients' houses, and there's always like weird. I've been in so many people's homes over the years that I've got other stories too, like just weird stories of weird people and like being creeped out, and like it's just a weird situation to be in so many people's homes. Like you're going to experience weird things. But this lady did the session, blah blah blah, and then at the end she goes in a weird way, and I didn't pick it up at the time. I sort of thought about it when I left afterwards, and she goes, as I'm leaving, she goes, and she gets right like close, and she goes, and something like looks at me right in the eye and like holds eye contact and then goes, "You can come back anytime," or something. And I remember thinking, why would I come back anytime? Like I'm a dog trainer, that we have to like make an appointment, or I don't remember. I just remember thinking it was so odd and being confused by it. And then I left, and then I kind of put it together when I left, the energy and how she said it and all that. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I also, there was this one time, and then I'm going to get to questions. There's this one time, and I'll get to your question, Dawn. There's more questions in here. There was this one time, it was this old couple, like really old couple, and the dog was all messed up. And they're like 75, 80 years old, like super old. And the guy's in here and the wife was like over here. And I'm talking to the guy, and the wife like kind of pops out of the hallway, like kind of like slowly creeps out. It's not funny, but the husband goes, he goes, disappear. And she goes, whoo, and she like left. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, one, who says like disappear? Like, he didn't get mad at her. I mean, he was like mad, I guess, but like, who says that? And it was so awkward. And the dog ended up doing like a board and train, and she was all messed up. And I wonder if she was like messed up because the dynamics of the house were so messed up. And I'd occasionally go to that house to pick up the dog. For like 2 years, they do like a board and train every year. And every time I was just creeped out by like going in. It was like a weird kind of house situation. But all right, I have more stories. I have a lot of stories. But let me just get to some questions here. Glad you guys are all here. Good. I like these. What are some training techniques used with the dogs that also applicable to training your wife? I don't train my wife. My wife is a very independent human being. My wife, she was also a animal trainer and a killer whale trainer. So, I mean, there's kid applications to training dogs and whales that are similar to training kids. Do you think whales have more emotional intelligence than dogs? They're very different animals. You could take any animal, dogs, whales, elephants. Those animals, let's say, if we want to compare those, they're social. They're social animals, so they're similar in that way, especially elephants and killer whales. They're actually very similar in a lot of ways, elephants and killer whales. They're very dangerous. They're very social. Dogs are different than any other animal because of how they interact with us. Dogs are in a real weird position because they're still animals, and so, but they're not wild animals. And they can kill things, so they're sort of subject to our laws. So it's dogs are in a really unique position as animals. Unlike if a lion was running around killing something, it'd be like, it's a lion, it's a wild animal. But dogs can't just go kill other dogs. They can't kill people. There's consequences to those things for them and for their owners. So dogs are in a unique position. Technique used for dogs that also apply to training. Okay. Do you think whales have emotional intelligence to dogs? I'd say they have more. They're more hierarchical, right? The females are at the top, and then it goes down from there. What you see right now with like King Charles, the dog, I think his name's King Charles, that is more like what you'll see at a zoo and whatnot, because what's going on with King Charles is a lot of like, there's nothing else going on. King Charles is this famous dog right now. There's nothing else I've thought about. There's nothing else going on in the yard except these dogs are left. So they have to develop this system, this hierarchical system, and killer whales are sort of left, right? And they just develop this, or elephants are left. That's all they have. Whereas dogs, they're generally not with a pack of dogs in the same way because they're in our homes and wear their pack and all that. So the same stuff doesn't apply. But when you get to like dogs left and you see it with this King Charles situation, you'll see these dogs develop this structure that you just don't see in everyday life with dogs. Like, I don't see it in my facility. The dogs are segmented and then come out for play times and they interact with us and they have owners. The King Charles situation is, I don't know how many dogs, 20 dogs, 24 hours a day, very little human interaction. So it's like Lord of the Flies ish in that King Charles situation. But emotional intelligence wise, if you look at King Charles kind of situation, dogs left, and killer whale situation, kind of dogs left, then it becomes a little more similar. But us being involved with dogs, we don't get to see sort of the hierarchical situation. But I don't know if that's necessarily your question. Emotional intelligence. I don't know what emotional intelligence necessarily means, Dawn. I'm going to try to get to every question because I don't want to answer loose leash walking questions and recall questions and the questions a lot of people have on dog training, because I have videos for that. You know, we can connect our hearts and our minds with whales. They're beautiful keepers of calm frequency ocean of the planet. Women are only as loyal as their options, hence the phrase, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Okay, thank you. Pooping while standing. I have a question. So I walk my dog and my dog starts to misbehave. Hey, okay, that's a dog training question. I realize I am a dog trainer. That does not mean I want to get on live all the time and talk to you about the go-get method and about the loose leash walking method and about how to be the boss and all that. Men are only as loyal as their options, hence the phrase, he's not yours. Okay, you guys are going off on tangents. Okay, good answer about the wife question. Joel, do you enjoy watching dog shows? No, I've never. I'll sometimes watch the working dog parts of dog shows, the Dobermans, the Rottweilers, the Akitas. Those are kind of interesting, but no, I don't. I don't think I've ever watched a whole dog show. If you mean dog show being like the Westminster Dog Show, no. Then there's dog shows on TV. If there's any producers out there, I have an idea for a show with me, but I might just do it on my own, and then I think it'd be awesome. But I'm not going to give it away because someone will steal it. Okay. Any questions about killer whales or anything like that? I feel they may be more aware of their strength and inherent danger associated with that. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys another story. Okay, fat kids don't run. Then I'll tell you the story. My favorite whale was a whale named Katina in Orlando, Florida. She was my favorite whale. She was the best whale there. She was the dominant whale there. She had no incidents of aggression over the years. It's funny when force-free trainers, by the way, they get all their cues. A lot of their cues historically have come from the marine mammal industry. Okay. And then they act like they know anything about aggression or how to minimize aggression or how to fix aggression in an organism. Okay. Killer whale trainers don't even know how to fix aggression. The best trainers in the world, and it's not even close, are killer whale trainers. They don't know how to fix aggression. They don't fix aggression. They do such a good job of not letting that animal become aggressive. But then when there's an aggressive incident, they don't really fix it. They pull back. They have it be only a certain number of trainers on. They no longer swim with the animal. They give it a year, and then they get back in the water and a certain. Then dog trainers who have taken their cues from the marine mammal industry come into dog training and act like they know how to fix aggression. They have no idea how to fix aggression. Their heroes don't even know how to fix aggression. Karen Pryor, who wrote books and has a school, has no idea how to fix a dog's aggression. No idea. She's never done it, actually. It's very strange how this industry works. The story, okay, Amy, the story of what led me to work with killer whales. I wanted to work with big cats. I wanted to go to Africa. That's what I wanted to do. I want to do conservation work with big cats. Big cats are still my favorite animal, the animal I have worked with, and I would love to do it as a career. I now have a family. It's too dangerous, so I will never do it. But that's what I wanted to do. Then I went to my school in Moore Park, which is the greatest school ever if you want to work with animals. And I fell in love with training, right? Conservation work in Africa does not involve training. I enjoyed training. I thought it was good for the animals, fell in love with it. Then I said, okay, I love training and I love exotics. Where's the Harvard of animal training? SeaWorld with killer whales. And I applied to SeaWorld in Orlando. They said yes, and they hired me. And they said you'd start at Killer Whale Stadium. And I said, well, that's the best. And that's where I stayed. And I never went to another area. I just worked with killer whales. I never went to dolphins or sea lions, which are also in the same department. Trainers jump around. I never jumped around. I just stayed with the killer whales for whatever reason. So to answer your question, Dawn. And then I met my wife at SeaWorld, and then we didn't want to work at SeaWorld anymore. So we left, and we left at a very good time because then Dawn died in Orlando, who is my good friend. She was killed by a whale in Orlando, and everything changed. The park changed, the movie, and then Blackfish came out, and then everything changed again. But we worked there when it was fun. And I'm going to come out with a animals in captivity kind of number system or something. If you want all animals in captivity to be free, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But what are the animals that actually do well in captivity? And maybe some of them can be in captivity so people can go see them, so kids can go see them. Is every zoo good? No. Does every animal belong in a zoo? No. But when is it okay? And when is it not? I'm going to develop like some sort of system to sort of where your points are given or minus points are given, right? For the particular species, right? A wolf, an elephant by itself, a chimpanzee by itself can't happen. Can chimpanzees be in an exhibit? How big is the exhibit? How small? Like, what if it's giant? Is that okay? Maybe. What if they have friends in there? Is that okay? Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd love to develop something like that. Okay. Oh yeah, someone says, yeah, don't let a bigwig TV producer ruin a good thing. If my idea of my show idea, did I ever tell? I was a finalist. I just started my business in 2008. NBC was having a summer show called America's Greatest Dog. Me and Bosco, he was like 9 months old, went up. We made it through the first round. Then we got to the second round, and that's when they have the interview round to be on this show. And dude, Hollywood is such an S show. It's if you want your kid to be an actor, or a singer, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't let him do it. For many reasons. But my story is I walk into the producers. I walk in, there's like, it's an NBC show. So there's tons of producers, right? This isn't some tiny little thing. There's like person or casting people, producers. Who the hell sits in these shows? Like person. And I realize I'm one of 20 people coming in that day, but they can at least be like normal, nice human beings and not be total a-holes. And they're all just sitting there and they're like mad, it seems. And I'm trying to, it's a big deal for me or for anybody who walks in, and I'm like, and they're just sitting there. I remember this one dude, he didn't even look, and it was probably before cell phones, maybe 2008 really. So he wasn't on a cell phone. It was just an a-hole. And a lot of these people are just a-holes, dude. I'll just never forget that situation of like, there's people who are trying to get a shot or, casting for a show. And like the person doing the interview, like thinks they're better than the people. I think that's kind of what Hollywood's about, dude. It needs to go away. It needs to go away. And don't ever let your kids get into Hollywood. Ever. Or music. Don't ever do it. Ever. Bad stuff there. I recommend the YouTube channel. Okay, we recommend some random YouTube channel. Kane, Land, and I don't even know what that's saying. Fat Kids Don't Run. The person's name is Fat Kids Don't Run. I don't just randomly keep saying Fat Kids Don't Run. Story of how I ended up in Cali. I'm from Oregon originally, and me and my friend at 19, we just said, "Hey, we're moving," and we moved to San Diego. And when I moved to San Diego, I basically said, I never want to live anywhere else. And then I moved back to Oregon. I didn't want to, but I kind of had to. And I moved back to Oregon. Then I moved back to Moore Park, California, which I loved as well. Then I moved to Orlando. Didn't love Orlando or Florida really. And then I always know I wanted to come back to San Diego. And then I ended up back in San Diego. So that's your answer. All right, I'm going to tell you another video until we get more questions. So, or excuse me, another story. I find this story interesting for a couple of reasons. It's the most proud I've ever been after a session, and the lady called me yelling at me the next day. There's a big dichotomy there. Like literally, I thought I did the best work I've ever done, and the lady was so mad at me. The most any client has ever been, because the work that I did, how I helped her child, also made her feel like a bad mother. So that's essentially what happened. So, and some of you have probably heard this story. Underdress is in here. He's probably heard this story, but lady came to me with her son. Her son looked like he was not well taken care of. Young lady, her son was not well taken care of. The dog had bit the son in the head. I want to get this story right. Every time, and then they live in a trailer park. Every time the son came into the single mom's room in the trailer, the dog growled at him. She told me this story. I looked in the son's eyes. I needed to talk to the lady. I had my trainer go down and take the son like to the bottom pasture area, because I had to talk to the lady. And this story is also why I don't talk to female clients by myself anymore. Okay. So if I ever say, so my trainers, I'll say stop filming because people get emotional a lot in my office, but I'll actually have them turn the phone down and keep the audio on. Or I'll say to my trainers, if someone's getting emotional, I'll tell my trainers, go out there. I will have them continue to record. Not because I'm going to use it, but because if I have to use it later on. But anyway, so I looked in this kid's eyes and I said, I imagine this kid was not in a good place. And then I thought, what would it be like for a 10-year-old child to be scared to go in his mom's room at this very difficult time in his life when the dog would lay under the bed and growl at him when he came in. And I said, this can't happen. The trauma to that child, the one safe place should be his mom's room. Doesn't have a dad around, doesn't have a lot of money, isn't well taken care of. That should be a safe place. And he can't even go in there without the dog growling at him. And the emotional toll, I don't know if anybody in here can understand it. I think you can if you really think about it. Even if you weren't an only child, even if you've never had a dog bite you, the dog biting him was secondary to his inability to go in his mom's room. Okay. And I told her, I said, we went through a lot of stuff, and I went through how we can fix this. And then at the end of it all, I said, listen, do you realize how bad this is for your son? I care about your son more than I care about this dog. And she started crying, bawling. She's like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then, sorry, I got a phone call. I have 3 kids. I got to keep my phone on. And then she said, you're right, you're right, you're right, bawling. She's crying. She's crying. She leaves. And then she probably said, I don't want to give up my dog, or he didn't do his job, which is legitimate. I didn't do my job. My job was to fix her dog. I did not do that. I tried to save her son. That's what I save her son. Legitimate. Like I'm not saying I could save her son, but I could be a part of helping that young man. And then she called me the next day screaming at me. And I said, wanting a refund. And I said, yeah, I'll give you a refund. And I was very sad because she didn't get it. She didn't see it. She didn't see it because she's messed up lady herself. I don't know how you don't see that. Can anyone not see that? It's a legitimate question. Can anyone in here, does anyone in here not understand what I just said? And I get if you guys go, well, you were trained to fix the dog and you didn't fix the dog. That I agree. I agree. But can anyone not see the bigger picture there? And it's not just about, oh, the kid, the dog biting the kid. Many people would say, and I agree, you get rid of the dog. But you can also fix a dog like that sometimes. It's not even that. It's all of it. It's the whole story there, you know? So the session I feel like I did the best I ever did, made the client the most mad I've ever had a client. Joel, do you let your dogs chase wildlife? I know it's controversial. I would never let my dogs chase wildlife. The weird thing is, and I know this is kind of obscure, but I live in Southern California. Like, if my dogs were off running around the bush chasing wildlife, there's rattlesnakes out there. So if I was somewhere else without snakes, would I let my dog chase a deer? No. Would I let my dogs? Oh, there's the cats right there. Someone just asked them on my cats. Would I let my dogs chase a rabbit? Maybe. I don't know. Okay. We're going to just do a couple more questions. What will you do? This is from Croft. What will you do if a fully mature Duke can't get along with Prince? Okay. Duke is now 10 months old. Duke and Prince have had 2 fights. I know you want to hear the stories. I talked about it in Beckman Aggression, Beckman Coaching. I know you guys want to hear the stories. Duke and Prince have had 2 quote unquote fights, maybe 3. They're dominance fights in a way, but Duke was new. Duke is still young. Duke is feeling out. He's young. He's trying to understand the world. He's now, obviously, he knows we are his people, so that's kind of over. But when these fights happened, they weren't. He was still somewhat new to us. If they couldn't get a fully mature Duke can't get along with Prince, that's like asking me, what are you going to do if aliens come here? Like, it's probably not going to happen. And I don't know what I would do if it does happen. I'm doing everything right now to make sure that never happens. And, you might have to be in one of my programs to figure out how that is, because it's hard for me to say very quickly right now how I'm doing that. It's a whole life thing. It's an every minute thing, but it's also very specific. It involves body language and understanding body language. It involves knowing both the dogs. It involves, it involves me. It involves my family. It involves hierarchical things. It involves understanding of dominance. It involves a lot of things. Duke is down here. Duke is down here. And Duke is not going to jump up over anybody because I am in control of that. And that started day one. You can go see the session with Duke the minute I first laid eyes on Duke. And the minute every Duke's first sort of is on this channel on YouTube. Not everyone, but a lot of them. It's not going to happen. Okay, let me look at here. How do killer whales work out dominance? JDO said this, who's a longtime listener. How do killer whales work out dominance? It doesn't really flip. Like the female's dominant until she dies, pretty much. It's subtle. So there's different dominance hierarchies in the world. Like macaques have a very unique dominance hierarchy that has to do with their babies and then there's all these different structures of dominance. The killer whale one just seems to be one of, it's not necessarily age. I don't know if it has to do with necessarily babies. The dominant female, the oldest female and the biggest female in San Diego was Corky, and she was bigger than the next female by 3,000 pounds. She was a giant female killer whale, like the biggest one ever. She was bottom. She was on the bottom. She was also the oldest and the biggest, and she was at the bottom. The female, Kasaka, who was the dominant female there, I think had the most babies. Katina was the mother in Orlando of all the other whales, all the other females. So is the daughter going to jump the mother? Probably not. Now I suppose you brought some random female in there. There could be an issue, but I'm guessing because it's all daughters and sons, mainly daughters of the dominant one, they would all go against the new female. So it's almost just an whatever that's called, where it's a mother thing. It's not a female thing. It's a mother thing. Man, I'm missing a lot of questions. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, it's story time. I haven't gotten to a single dog training question, which is good. I don't think anyone gets over losing a friend. You just learn to live without it. If there's an answer, I'd like to know. Okay, I missed the whole thing I missed what that person was talking about. I have a male and a female 2 years apart, so it's mostly testosterone, playfulness. That's my girl. Okay. All right, guys. I'm out of stories. I'm not out of stories, but I've told you a few stories. Hopefully that was interesting to you. If you guys have any other questions, I'll go like a few more minutes. We have a lot of people in here right now. I'll go a few more minutes. If you have any questions about my history, whales, exotics. Exotics is my true love. Dogs are, if I had a hierarchy of animals, dogs are third on the list, probably. Big cats, birds of prey, killer whales, wolves and dogs, something like that. So any questions about exotics, which I find fascinating? You can ask them. I know you guys miss regular streams with Eric. You missed the podcast. I get it. I'm trying to be a little podcasty today. How do I get my exotic fixed these days? I don't. Dawn Bennett. I don't. I'd like to get a fennec fox. That'd be cool. But yeah, I don't get my exotic fix. I've always wanted to get a bird of prey, get a fennec fox, get a kookaburra, get a few things and do little school programs. Take them to schools. And I could probably get the permits for it based on my exotic experience from USDA. I could probably do it, but I don't need another job. But it would be like a labor of love, I guess. You know? Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, it was fun. Thank you guys for coming. I will try to do more of these live streams as they come up. Beckman Aggression Program. Go to beckmanpro.com. Beckman Coaching Program. And the puppy program. If you have a puppy and you don't get my puppy program, I get, like, Beckman Aggression is long, is 6 months long. Right? Beckman Coaching Program. Okay, you don't want to become a dog trainer. I get that. If you have a dog under a year and you don't buy the puppy program, I don't get that. Or you might say, I don't want Prince, I don't want Duke. I don't want them. I don't want to learn what you did with them. But if you do have a puppy, I would save you the price of the program. I would save you in one video alone. My Chew Toy Talk. On the money saved on the Chew Toy Talk alone would pay for the program. I know it. Okay, guys. Love you guys. Talk to you later.